Hello, I'm Bloody Amazing, and the intention of this presentation is to show you how to upgrade a KN3000 with a floppy emulator drive and memory stick. Do not assume that this information applies equally to the 5000 or above or the 2000 below. I'm sure these will need different modifications. Keep an eye on future postings for this information. My unit cost me $35 Australian from Coco Electronics on eBay, where you'll see them advertised for Korg and Yamaha. The procedure was relatively straightforward. You simply need to replace the floppy drive with the emulator unit and it will work. The intention of this presentation is to show you how to install a Gotek emulator into your Technics SSKN3000 keyboard and the advantages of it, and also a quick idea on actually how to use the emulator once it is installed. The advantages are, of course, you get extra life from your keyboard. My floppy drive was deteriorating. The computer couldn't actually read some drives anymore. Floppies are now obsolete, hard to purchase, and they deteriorate. The memory stick emulator is equivalent to 100 floppies, so it is more portable to carry around. The price is most suitable and is a satisfying result when it is completed. The disadvantages: the memory stick is difficult to back up due to the partitioning. It's not like a normal memory stick or a hard drive. I suggest you back up the computer as you load your memory stick. You need to keep a rough outline of the locations for quick access. I stick this on my keyboard. Be careful not to lose or break the memory stick, or it will be a sad gig. And it's time consuming initially loading the floppies into their respective decided levels in the emulator memory stick. The equipment needed will be a floppy disk emulator, which I purchased from Coco Electronics. More on that in a moment. A memory stick, a Phillips head screwdriver, fine nose pliers, and long tweezers are a good advantage, plus a headlight. Please look at the screen and notice that it is dangerous to play with mains power. Make sure the power is completely disconnected and away from your keyboard whilst you are working inside. Be extra cautious here. These are the tools that I just mentioned. You'll need long nose pliers and tweezers to get down to some of the pots and get the screws out, a Phillips head screwdriver, and I have some finer jeweler's type screwdrivers there as well. The good headlight is fine for looking down into the pots to ease your burden there. Okay, here is the emulator, the Gotek emulator that I purchased from Coco Electronics on eBay, advertised for Korg and Yamaha. It does fit directly into the KN3000 and cost about $34. It took about a week to arrive, and it works extremely well without any modification. Here is my original SX KN3000 Technics. You see that I have it on cardboard on my operating table with the original floppy disk inside. Still. Okay, a lovely picture of it there. Now we'll see the operating table. There's the floppy drive as it was. I have no hard drive in my unit. I'll mention that further along the way. Okay, so I've inverted the keyboard onto a towel onto the cardboard. You'll see where the green things are. You need to remove the black screws. In the round pot you'll actually find goldish coloured screws, but where those red marks are, they are the screws that hold the wood to the floor of the cabinet. You can see one on the upper right there. They don't need to be removed. You just need to take the peripheral screws out and the ones in the pots as well, the circular and oblong pots. Now if you look at the keyboard, now your keyboard is gently prized open, and I supported it behind with the toolbox so it doesn't fall back and tear the wires. You'll see that there are two screws, one at either end of the keyboard. This releases the keyboard component itself. I have covered the speakers with some cardboard, and then you can just gently lift that out and fold it over backwards, which will give you access. You'll notice the power switch there on the left hand side, which you may need to find to actually turn the keyboard on. It is no longer on the top component of the keyboard once you open it up. Okay, you'll see there are 4 screws that you need to remove the cradle holding the floppy disk, and plus another little one that actually earths the wire there. Take note of where it is and make sure you reconnect that earth wire when you put the emulator back in. So those 4 screws have to come out, and then you can just gently manipulate it out. Disconnect the plugs at the back, and there you see the old floppy drive upside down. You need to remove those 4 black screws on the side, and you need to loosen the felt over the old floppy drive itself. Okay, so you can see here, because I wasn't aware whether the emulator would work directly with the KN3000, that I have plugged it in carefully, making sure that both rows of the copper pins fit into the plug correctly. That is very important. Make sure that black plug is lined up, and then the power plug. Then you hold in the 2 buttons with the memory stick in place. Carefully power up the keyboard with the switch where I showed you there earlier, and you will see the emulator then, the LEDs will light up and start counting to 999. That is it actually formatting the drive. You will then need to check your screen and attempt to load, although there's nothing on the memory stick, but you will have an idea as to whether it is working. If it says no disk found, you know that the plug is not connected properly. Here you can see now I've turned the power back off, taken the power away from the unit. I've released the felt from the old floppy drive, and now I am installing the emulator. The holes there do not quite match up. Don't panic. Use the screws that came with the black screws that came with the emulator, and put them in the best you can, and you'll find that the result is quite acceptable. Okay, now the screws that came out of the floppy, it is a good idea to put them back into the old floppy unit just on the side so you do not lose them. Should you ever need to replace the floppy in this or anything else, don't lose them. And then we can start reinstalling things, reversing the procedure. You can see the keyboard is put back in with those screws. Now, while I'm in here, I very gently, with a very soft motion and a brush, loosened the dirt and debris in the speakers, and closing my eyes blew it off on both sides so that the speaker isn't overloaded. Now have a look at this. This is actually where this keyboard can take a hard drive. I didn't have one in it, so that's why my floppy emulator will be such an advantage. And also I see in here that there's room for memory sticks to expand the memory. I don't know what memory that would actually expand, but these are things that I had forgotten and weren't really where they were available. Now here's an interesting thing. If you look at your circuit boards there, you will see these glass containers. They are actually fuses. If something goes wrong with your keyboard during the procedure or at any stage, you can almost bet London to a brick that you have blown a fuse. You can generally see in good light the fuse wire inside these glass things actually blown or broken. So if not, you can prise them gently off, once again making sure the power is disconnected, or you'll be playing harp in heaven instead of keyboards on earth. But disconnect the power and you can remove them very gently, prise them off the keyboard and check them visually or with a multi-tester for contact if necessary. You can see now we're reversing the procedure with the screws. Where that red X is, I'm sure a screw does not go in there. That's an internal fixation there, but on the other end one does. Don't forget the short screws go in around the floppy disk case. So here we have the keyboard. It's been put back together. It's uprighted. The memory stick has been formatted. And it is actually ready to go. Here we are. I have actually loaded some material in. Now you don't store material on level 000. Use it as a loading dock. Read the documentation coming up shortly. You'll understand that to take information in and out to other levels. You need to then load the information into the keyboard and back out. There you can see a great result with the well-deserved coffee at hand as I play with it. Notice also my metal music stand that I had specifically made. Here is the documentation that you may need to read up on to see how to actually use the emulator as a level 000 loading dock, and then move it to other levels through the keyboard. Pause that if necessary so you have time to read it adequately, and don't forget you can pause any of this presentation at any time. This has been a bloody amazing production and hope it is great help. Soon information on the KN5000 should be available.